Good evening, everyone, and welcome to RPS Live. We are so thrilled to have you back. Tonight, we have some wonderful guests to talk a little bit about how we are going to create a loving environment for our students, even though it is virtual. We have our Chief Schools Officer, Harry Hughes, who has lots of things in his portfolio, including social and emotional learning. So we're excited to hear from him, as well as three of our amazing principals, Sharita Sears from TJ, Latanya Waller from Bushal, and James Gordon from Oak Grove Belmead. So thank you so much, guys, for making the time to be here tonight. I will jump to you in a second, but before I do that, I did want to just make sure everybody has a chance to see our website. I'm going to try to share. I want to show everyone the Reopen with Love section of the website. So let's see if I can make that happen. All right. So if you go to our website, this is our main page, which is rvaschools.net. You'll see this little heart icon right here. It says Reopen with Love, and that is our school reopening plan for the fall. Just click there, and you'll be taken to this main page, which includes all kinds of information that you will need. This is your one-stop shop for everything about fall reopening at RPS. We have a whole academic section you can see, engagement, operations, everything related to schools, and of course, talent. So we encourage you to check this out. We have a new feature, the family checklist. You can see it right here. I'm going to click on it. And it lays out a whole bunch of things that we would like all of our families to take a look at before school starts to make sure you're all set. I do want to note that we have the checklist in multiple languages. You can see on the right-hand side right here, you can download it in Spanish, in Arabic, in French, and in Swahili. So we want to make sure that all of our families have all of the information that they need. So again, Reopen with Love, check it out from our homepage right here with the heart icon. All right, well, let's get to it. I'm gonna stop my share. And tonight we're gonna talk about what it means to reopen with love and how we are going to take care of our young people and our staff, not just academically, but also socially and emotionally. And so let me just start off, Harry, if you could say a few words about some of the things we have planned this year to take care of our young people.
Absolutely, Jason. Good evening, everyone in the RPS community. I am super excited that we have three approaches that we're going to take this year to make sure that we're able to properly reconnect our students back to our school communities. You know, many of us know that our students are incredibly resilient and they come to us with a number of strengths. And at the same time, we have to recognize that a critical number of our students are impacted by the effects of trauma, which for many of them are compounded by COVID-19 and the racial inequality which is present in our city and our nation. And students have been disconnected, as you all know, from a brick and mortar school since March. It's over 5 months, folks. And we know that our schools are more than just a place where teaching and learning occurs. School for some of our students is a lifeline, a place where they are cared for physically and emotionally. And as we move to reopen schools virtually, we have to more than ever prioritize building relationships between the school and the home and reconnecting our students and their families with caring educators. So the three initiatives I would like to get into tonight are Connect RPS, how we are going to prioritize community building circles, and our second step, which is a evidence-based social emotional learning curriculum that we plan to roll out at the elementary schools. Jason, I don't want to take up.
Sure.
That's like 15 minutes of conversation right there, so.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for laying it out. So to recap, Connect RPS, the community circles every morning, and second step, which is our social and emotional learning curriculum. Maybe let's start with community circles.
Okay.
And if one of our principal panelists would like to jump in and explain to folks who are listening, what is a community circle? Why are we doing it? What's the impact going to be?
Jump in. community circles are our way. It's part of kind of the restorative justice and trauma-informed care. And it's a way that we are intentionally building relationships with students. And so the community circle, of course, physically, it would be that kind of we are sitting in a circle and just opening the floor to conversation and being able to talk about what it is that we're feeling and what we are maybe even struggling with. I think the beautiful thing about it is that in circles, you know, when the teachers lead circles this year, it will kind of be a whole human experience. So it won't be, you know, teacher and student, it'll be a group of humans kind of sitting around and talking about what it is that they're feeling. And I think it's gonna provide a lot of support for our students, and it's gonna build really strong relationships where students and teachers are able to understand each other in ways that they may not have before.
Thank you so much, Rita. And the circles have kind of 3 parts. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you lay those out real quick for folks watching?
Absolutely. We start with the mindfulness moment where we all just come in and kind of center ourselves. There are several ways to do that, but one of the ways that I like to do it is just the deep breathing and just to kind of center yourself and prepare yourself for that. And then there is a discussion. And so sometimes, you know, there'll be a prompt, a subject that we are all discussing. I mean, you kind of go around, and many times in person, at least, we'll have a talking piece that we pass around so that we are respecting the one person who should be speaking. And then at the end, we kind of end with an optimistic closing to just kind of bring everyone's thoughts together, but also put some positive energy out into the space as well.
Thanks, Rita. And James or Latanya, to anyone who's watching is thinking, like, this sounds like some hippy dippy groovy stuff. And like, why are you spending time on this every morning with kids? We got lots of stuff to do. What's the deal here?
Sure. So James Comer said that positive, learning doesn't happen unless you have these positive relationships, right? You have to have an environment that's conducive for learning, and students have to feel connected to their teachers. And I think it's beautiful to have community circles be the first things that students will come into each morning, because this is going to not only be a new experience for our scholars, it's also going to be a new experience for all of our staff. And for them to share maybe some of their struggles, for teachers to even, appear more human to some of our scholars, and share things that might not be going well for them with their technology, and to really work through it together, I think is awesome. It also allows our teachers to understand what issues our scholars may be having, so we can connect them to the right resources and the right supports. And while I'm looking at the Reopen with Love plan, I was extremely excited to see where we're looking at our students individually and saying, hey, each one of our scholars is going to have a person that's going to be checking in on them either daily or once a week, just to make sure that they are well academically, socially, emotionally, physically even, because we want to make sure we are reopening with love.
And
James, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with everything that's been shared. So we did a community circle earlier today in our professional development for summer leadership, and it was awesome. In particular, it was grounding. So one of the things that the facilitator did, they said, so I want you, if you're willing, close your eyes, and now I want you to listen to the sounds that are around you. And it was interesting. I could hear the wind blowing the paper in my office. So it helped to ground me as we started the day. So I'm actually looking forward to community circles, not only for the students, but also for staff as a way to start each school day. Hey, staff, what are your thoughts? How are you feeling? And it's an opportunity to be vulnerable and transparent with each other. So I'm very excited about that.
Thanks so much, James. Harry, second piece you talked about is Connect RPS. Tell us about that.
Sure. So first of all, I want us to focus on the name Connect RPS, because it's that connection piece that is vital, that we have to make sure we get the connection piece right, especially in these stressful times for all of us. So Connect RPS is our strategy to ensure that our most vulnerable students and their families stay connected to the school community and receive the necessary supports, both school-based and community-based, to be successful during our virtual semester. We're going to go about determining appropriate levels of support by looking at a variety of factors, and then we're going to ensure that students receive frequent check-ins and appropriate mental health supports. Between our school-based and division-level mental health support and our wonderful external mental health partners such as Communities in Schools, Child Savers, Richmond Behavior Health Authority, and Stop Child Abuse Now, which is also known as SCAN, we have ample staff to implement this strategy with intention and integrity.
So let's break this down. As I understand it, we're going to group kids basically into 3 groups, sort of 1, 2, and 3, based on past attendance and grades and other factors to kind of see who do we know is probably going to need the most outreach and support. And so if you're in sort of group 1, what does that mean for kids? Group 2, what does it mean in group 3?
Absolutely. So group 1, what that means for children in group 1 is we want for our teachers to continue to nurture the relationship, of course, with all of our students, but our group 1 students, we feel will benefit from just being present in school, checking in with their teacher. Now, we do plan to check in with all of our students, and our group 1 students will get a check in within the first 45 days of school, just to make sure that everything is they're still good, still being supported, still being successful in this virtual environment. Now, if you're in group 2, you get a check-in that's more of a frequent. The level of frequency for your check-in group 2 happens a couple of times each week. Now, depending on where you are in group 2, we will connect you to school-based social workers or counselors who will check in with you frequently. And then depending on issues that may be surfaced, we'll connect students with and families with mental health providers in the city or other city services. Now, group 3 is the more intensive piece. Group 3 students will have daily check-ins. So if you're in group 3, tier 3, you will get a check-in every single day, and then you will get access to our more trained mental health external providers who will be able to provide intensive support through counseling, therapeutic services, and connecting those students and families to much needed city resources.
And so would it be fair to say sort of group 1 is, kids who we think are basically doing okay. We'll check in on them, but we think probably good. Group 2, a little bit more of a concern. In group 3, there's a lot of questions that we really want to make sure that we're taking care of for those kids.
Yes.
And turning to the principals, thinking about group 3, and I know you can all kind of see kids' faces and names in your mind's eye. Why is it important that we marshal all the resources that we have in schools through Harry's team, Dr. Harris's team, and others to make that potentially daily connection, to reach out and see what's going on? And whoever.
Jason, I think that goes back to reopening with love. I know last year was leading with love. Because we love and care about our students, we need to check in on all of our students. In particular, my special babies, my special friends that need an extra TLC, just those phone calls. In my mind, I'm thinking about doing virtual meetings, virtual drive-bys to say hello, just to check in, because it's important for our students to know that I genuinely care about them, and also for our staff. I do want to put a plug. I'm asking my staff to check in on our students, the teachers. Hey, how are you doing? And also helping our teachers. So if you notice something in the background that's questionable, hey, let's have a conversation to support the kids. But it's because we love them. That's why we want to do it.
LaTanya or Sharita, is there a story you could share? You don't, of course, need to use names, but about why that outreach is so important and the difference it makes in kids' lives as you think about your students?
So it's extremely important. I hope you can still hear me. little rain in the background.
Yeah, I got thunder over here.
So it's extremely important. One, why we should do it is because we're blessed. We're blessed to have these positions and the ability to do it. And we have the resources that we can put towards funneling to specific kids to make their lives, scholars to make their lives better. I don't refer to those tier 3 students as at risk. They're at promise, meaning they're right at a promise of what they can be, what they should be. All they need is the support and the encouragement and the intentionality from people like us to make that happen. I can share a story that happened just recently. There was a gaggle alert. I'm not sure if everybody knows what that is, but basically with the number of Chromebooks and devices that have been distributed, we still have a system where we monitor scholars online to ensure that they aren't getting themselves into some mischief and some trouble. And I received one of those alerts, and over the weekend, as a matter of fact, and connected with that parent and told that parent, based on what we had saw, there was some possibility of self-harming behavior. And I said, you know what? I need that child to come in to the building. I know, but we needed to do a threat assessment. We needed to determine what was going on. And, we took the proper precautions with COVID and things of that nature, but I called in my social worker, I called in a counselor, we called on child savers, we called all of those supports because we wanted to make sure that that this particular scholar was going to be okay. Because even while schools were technically closed, what we do in our hearts and in our jobs, that is never over. So it's important that we stay committed.
That's the heavens endorsing you.
Yes, I agree, LaTanya. And I think that, it's so important just to be really, really tuned into our students. Like Shantae early last week on RPS Live said, students aren't going to always ask for it. They're not going to always ask for help when they need it, but they do want help. I had a student a couple of years ago who he was absent a lot. And so we had paired him with a mentor, and every morning that mentor came. If he missed class, she was in my office telling me he's not here. And we were calling home and he would answer and say, I missed the bus, and we would go get him. And it came to the point that at one point, before we could even call him, he was calling us to say, I missed the bus, can you come get me? Maybe not, it's probably not, I don't know whether we should put kids in our cars or not, but you have to love them enough to, if it's a rule that we need to break, that's one of them that we want to break, to get our babies to school. And a lot of times he would come, and many times, he started at some point, just like, forget it, I'm not even gonna call him, he's gonna walk to school. And so he was walking from Jackson Ward to school, and we would make sure that he ate before he got, before we sent him off to class. And, he started coming to school regularly, but we were just on him so much, and we let him know that we loved him so much and we wanted him there. And I think it just made a big difference in his life.
He was walking from Jackson Ward to TJ.
He was walking from Jackson Ward to TJ.
Wow. Amazing work that you guys are doing.
Actually to Albert Hill, but yeah.
Basically the same.
Same thing.
And then Harry, you mentioned Second Step. Could you just say a word real quick? What is Second Step? Who's it for? Why are we doing that?
Sure. So Second Step is for every child, and it's our divisions. It's our intentional teaching of social and emotional competencies. There's a great body of evidence that shows that when schools have specific SEL, social and emotional learning, happening in their buildings around 5 key competencies: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making, that students, regardless of their background, demonstrate gains in empathy, impulse control, anger management. They're more caring, they're more cooperative, they're able to take control of their emotions. So Second Step is an evidence-based social emotional program that will serve as the foundation for our community circles in elementary and middle schools.
So can you just give an example, like what does it mean You said self-awareness, self-regulation. Like, what's self-regulation?
All right, so great example, self-regulation. So we're in the school, and all of these competencies build towards rigorous academic achievement. So in terms of like what was it you asked for?
Self-regulation.
Self-regulation, right? It's the ability to get control of your emotions when you become angry. So that if you're in a class and you are and your peer are working in a cooperative learning group and you're critically analyzing a text. So let's say you're looking at Lord of the Flies, and then your classmate disagrees with you in a disagreeable manner. You have the ability to recognize that that upsets you, but instead of doing something equally as harmful, such as berating your peer or lashing out, you take control of your emotions and you're able to center yourself because you realize that your emotions has an impact on everyone around you.
It occurs to me we have some national leaders who might benefit from some SEL training.
Yeah.
But that's another story. Latanya, James, Sharita, why is teaching these skills in the same way you would teach phonics or teach algebra so critical? Why is it important that we like take the time to actually teach something which, you know, if you're a parent out there watching and you're like, well, isn't that just like what kids are supposed to learn at home, or isn't that just what they learn growing up? Like, why do we need to spend time on this? What do you say?
Because these are life skills. So we want to develop the whole child. And so as a father of toddlers and a 6-month-old, self-regulation, Harry, is definitely something that we are working through. And being able to communicate how you feel about an experience, and so empowering our students. So it's more than just the academic piece, because in the real world, we don't just do academics. We do communication, we do technology, we do conflict resolution. So we want to develop the whole child. So that's why I'm definitely in favor of it.
And I think too that, you know, we don't want to take for granted that this is something that every child gets. Many of our children are experiencing trauma. And so survival is the skill that they learn instead of how to control their emotions or how they should react to what they're feeling.
And Sharita, I think I'm right, though I think you guys are a little bit more expert than I am. What we know from brain science now is if you experience trauma at a young age, it actually affects your brain development such that it is neurochemically more difficult for you to properly self-regulate and things of that nature. And so actually learning that as a process is an important biological thing that kids need to do if they're going to overcome that trauma that they faced as kids.
It is, but even more so, it's important for the staff and that works with our scholars understand that, because when a scholar has an outburst, we should not, we should understand how to de-escalate those behaviors. We should know how to respond appropriately, and there are other professions that could benefit from understanding that as well.
Absolutely. That is a really great point, Latanya. It's not just about helping the kids, it's about helping the teachers understand how to help the kids and know what's happening. Go ahead. It looked like you had one more thing to say.
I was just going to say I'm really blessed to work with the staff that I work with at Bouchard, because one of the things we put in place is a matrix that outlines the behaviors in a positive way. And so instead of saying to a scholar, you did this, when there's any kind of redirection, we say, well, this is the sort of the positive behavior that was missed. This is the opportunity that was missed. And that's the way, we try to frame our redirections so that it's more of a positive experience than one where you're just demeaning a scholar and making them feel bad about it.
That's really powerful. Can you give a concrete example of that?
Well, I can tell you one where I had a scholar in my in my office. They were brought there for running in the hallway, and so we have a matrix that's based. We're the Eagles, Bouchard Eagles, and it's based on SOAR. So it's safe, on time, appreciative, respectful, responsible, and ready to learn. I know that's a lot, but
Yeah, you
we
got
also have
there.
we have a mantra at our school. So every morning we say Bouchard students are respectful, responsible, ready to learn, and our teachers are caring, committed, and creative. They hear that in English and in Spanish. And if you go to anyone in our building, they're able to say it. So this particular scholar was running, didn't stop when they were told to, was brought to my office. Not, probably shouldn't have been brought to my office, but that's okay. Maybe this was, more of a, they've done it a few times. And so literally they were like, well, I was trying to get to class. I was trying to make sure that, I was on time. And I said, well, you know what, let's go out here and model what the expectation is for walking, rapidly or expeditiously instead of running. And so we did that. And it was the running joke, like, okay, we're gonna walk expeditiously to class and not, move in such a way that you could literally harm people. One of the things we're looking forward to. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So you're such a principal, you even managed to slide in an SAT word in there.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead. All right. So we just have a couple more minutes left. What I would love to just hear from each of our principals is, what are you most excited about for the upcoming year? I know there's a lot to be worried about. There are no shortage of challenges, no shortage of concerns, but there's a lot to look forward to. So what are you looking forward to? What are you excited about? What are you hopeful for as we reopen School with Love?
I'm excited about a new experience. Well, one, I'm excited that every single one of our children will have a Chromebook. And so we're one-to-one in our district, finally. So that's exciting for me. But I'm also excited about just learning something new. I mean, this is, like Harry said earlier today, we are making history. We are starting school virtually. And I think that there are so many great things that come with going to school virtually. How much more the teachers will be able to collaborate, how much more I can pop into classrooms. I'm excited about about the virtual part of it.
Thank you.
And ditto on that. I'm looking forward to celebrating the resiliency of our school, community, staff, students, parents, community partners, because I believe that our students and our staff and everyone is a champion. And although we have a virtual start, and we all like being in the physical building, interacting with each other physically, the high fives, the handshakes, the fist pumps, and all that good stuff. But I believe we're going to make it through it together as a team. So I'm looking forward to celebrating our resiliency.
Thanks so much, James.
I'm looking forward to all of it, the interactions with the students and staff. I'm looking forward to seeing my staff on August the 26th, my students on November the 4th. I already have the dates, I already have the times. But more so, I'm looking forward to, I think I've been in Richmond a long time. I'm a Richmond resident, parent, a former student, Teacher of the Year for this district. And, 10 years ago, I was asked, why Richmond? And, my response then was, why not Richmond? But now it's like we're leading things. Like anytime someone wants to know what's going on, Richmond Public Schools is the first. We're trailblazing. That hasn't always been the case. So I'm looking forward to just starting this year and making it great.
Maybe we'll soar. Sorry, that's dad joke in me. Harry, I'll let you have the last word before I wrap up. What are you looking forward to the most?
I'm just so proud of our principals and our assistant principals. These folks are so committed, so caring, so dedicated to the profession. I mean, they truly care about our children and their families. And I want to quote Michael Powell, the principal at John Kerry, who said during a community circle session today that we're built for this. Principal Wall is right. We have set the pace for Central Virginia, and we have accomplished so much in such a short period of time, from food distribution, Chromebook distribution, virtual graduation, RPS at home. I mean, I could go on and on and on. And that's because of the dynamic leaders that we have at the heads of our school. And I'm just so excited about what this group is going to do moving forward for us to have an outstanding school year. Very proud of these individuals.
Well, I will double endorse that. Couldn't be prouder of the three individuals here tonight, Principal Sears, Principal Gordon, and Principal Waller, and your colleagues around the city. As Harry said, we are just so grateful to you for really showing what it means to lead with love, putting your whole heart on the line for our kids. I also want to shout out our teachers and our counselors and our custodians and bus drivers and nutrition workers and so many others, our volunteers, and of course our families. Everybody is stepping up in incredible ways. And on behalf of all of RPS, I just want to say thank you. We love you. We're excited to show, as LaTanya said, what RPS is all about and to lead the way. So thanks, everybody. Stay safe in these storms. As with RPS, our brighter days are just around the corner. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Bye-bye.